organizations are becoming more confident and comfortable in the planning and execution of the return to soccer plans. And although we are not out of the woods yet, we're becoming more accustomed to our new normal. It's taken a lot of hard work to get here, and we want to remind you that we are still available to support and help you, provide you the guidance that you're needed, that is needed whenever you need it. The amount of new information related to COVID and sport is slowing down for the time being. With major planning in August, staff are now scheduled for holidays. So we've decided to make our next call take place on Tuesday, August 11th, and then the call followed by that on September 8th. Of course, if things change and we need to communicate things sooner to everybody, we will schedule a call accordingly. And of course, if there's any support that's needed within that time as well, please don't hesitate to reach out to the staff. They will be there to assist you. So thanks again for continuing to join us on these calls, as well as for your hard work in getting us back on the pitch. I'll now hand it over to Nicole, who'll go over the agenda for tonight.
Thanks, Lisa. So for tonight, first we're going to go over major events and games updates, and then we're going to talk about Global Week of Inclusion and Sterling BackCheck, and then we're going to go through the process of a player returning after sickness, and also what happens if government guidelines aren't followed, and then we'll end with some discussion and questions. So with that, I'll hand it over to Marcus to talk about some major events coming up next summer.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. We've got a few dates here listed. Obviously, there's some dates that have been transferred from this summer moving into next year. So from 2020 originally scheduled SAS Summer Games, which will be moved to 2021. As you can see the dates there, July 18th to 21st. As well as the NAG Games, those were scheduled to take place this summer. They'll be moved to July of next year. Official dates for the NAG Games hasn't been announced yet, but the SAS Summer Games has been confirmed, and I'll touch on that in a couple of slides here next. Ultimately, the real reason we were showing this chart or giving you this information is that next summer is it's going to be, technically, if we get it going, it's going to be a real heavy, busy load for events, making up for events that didn't happen this year, but in addition to our normally busy scheduled summers. So one of the things we wanted to do is just sort of even get ourselves planning and thinking about that. And we've kept a couple dates here in terms of some of the events that we normally run as TBA. We usually announce those in October for, say, for example, provincial championships in terms of locations and dates, and then SAS Soccer Day and those types of events. So those things we'll announce or try and look to have a confirmation later in October as per normal, but we have left a bit of flexibility given that there might be some overlap in some of these events that normally we're trying to fit into 2-year cycles, all fitting into one summer. In addition to that, we've also got obviously your guys' tournaments, festivals, and events, and connecting those details and trying to connect with our schedules as best we can. We'll be looking to combine those and work together to make sure we're balancing those out and trying to schedule as best we can accordingly. But other than that, that's sort of just a heads up that, again, it's going to be busy for next year. Nicole, if you can jump to the next slide there. As hopefully most of you heard, or if not, SAS Winter Games are going to be held in Regina this next cycle here in 2022. But big news for us, normally we don't have too much to do with Winter Games, but we've been approved to have futsal involved. So this is the first time futsal has been a part of the competition. So there'll be a lot of legwork for us to connect with you guys in terms of creating futsal groups and programming within your associations and connecting into the games and looking at this event as a sort of jump stick that we can look to help promote the game, but also get people into it and connect to the game with that event. So there'll be more information on that coming up, including like coaching courses, some of the requirements, but that's still a bit of a ways away. So we just wanted to give you that update so that you can start keeping that in the back of your head about different groups for the futsal games as well too, for the winter games. And then next slide there, yeah, Nicole. And then finally, the SAS Summer Games, as I mentioned, some additional details. So this was supposed to be happening this year. Obviously, this has been moved to 2021. It'll still be in Lloydminster. The games themselves go on from July 18th to 24th. Soccer will be July 18th to 21st. Now, normally we have the female program go one part and the male program go a second part. But we've had a special request to make both the male and female go at that same window of time. So it opens up a little bit of flexibility for us to have our other competitions. So the dates for soccer specifically is July 18th to 21st. And that's again in Lloydminster at the VLA soccer fields. In terms of the age group specifically, even so we've switched a year, we're still going to continue with the same age categories. A lot of work has been done in terms of coaches and already started to look at players, but having coaches in place, we're going to just be moving on with that same coaching staff and the same players, obviously just being a year older for that age category, but it's the same players that would have been taking part in this year's events. So the age group has slightly changed there. So if you want to make note of that, the age categories, it's still January 1st, 2006 for the U15 Saskatoon/Regina area players. And then all of the districts obviously have that age up from January 1st, 2005. So pretty significant information on that one to take into to knowing for what's coming up for the SAS Summer Games for next summer. And that's all for me.
Thanks, Marcus. So yesterday, July 20th, marked the start of Global Week of Inclusion, and Special Olympics Canada has a campaign running right now to celebrate diversity in sport, and it's the Choose to Include campaign. So we just want to encourage all of our members to support that on social media if you can, the hashtag's there. And more importantly, we want to encourage you to work with your local Special Olympics organization. I know some of you already do, which is wonderful. Special Olympics Saskatchewan is a partner of SAS Soccer, and we can connect you with these groups if you don't know who to reach out to. So if that's something that you are interested in looking into, you can give me a shout. And the link there is to more information on Week of Inclusion. And we also did a post on Facebook yesterday, so you could go there as well. So we have heard that some RCMP detachments may not be doing volunteer record checks due to COVID-19 and capacity issues. So if this is the case in your community, maybe just put a comment in the chat box if this is something that you're experiencing. We're not quite sure if it's everyone or just some certain communities. But if this is something you're experiencing, or if you're just looking for an online method of criminal record checks, just a reminder, we do offer Sterling BackCheck as a member benefit. So that's an online platform for criminal record checks, and there's some benefits listed there. It's a secure online process. You get results within 1 business day. I know in some communities you don't pay for a criminal record check. There is a charge of $25 for applicants through this process, but then they don't have to actually go into a detachment, so it is an option. And then you as an administrator can log in and see who has done criminal record checks through that as well. So if this is something that interests you and you don't already have it set up, you can send me an email and we can get you set up on there right away. And no comments in the chat box, so there might not be any issues with this, but if it's something you're still interested in, you feel free to contact me. So returning to play after sickness. So now that COVID testing is available to everyone, we definitely don't want to deter anyone from being tested, or there to be some stigma with getting tested and then that affects them playing soccer if it's negative. So right now in the declaration of compliance that they fill out, points 5 and 6 here, the first one says if they've had any flu or cold-like symptoms in 14 days, that basically they can't participate. And the second one says that they will stay away from activities for 14 days until those symptoms were last experienced. So we had a question if someone gets medical clearance, if this is still in effect. And the answer is no. If someone is sick and they go and get COVID testing and it comes back negative, or they receive other medical clearance that says they're allowed to return to play, they're allowed to return to play. If they don't receive any medical clearance, then what is in the declaration there applies. They must wait 14 days from the last sign of symptoms before they can return to play. And just a reminder, everyone should have a designated staff person or a volunteer person who's responsible for responding to all COVID-19 concerns for your organization, and someone that's responsible for tracking this information. So if someone can't fill out the declaration form, you need to have a record of that. And it should be common knowledge to all your coaches, staff, and families who that person is. So we don't want the player just telling their coach they got a negative result and your organization not knowing that. So it should be well known who's the COVID contact for your organization. And then, so moving on to government guidelines. So what happens if government guidelines aren't allowed? So we believe that many breaches in the government guidelines are probably accidental. We know that a lot of information has come at you in the last couple months, so something maybe got missed. So we're going to continue to provide education and support to correct those things if they do happen. But it's important to remember that you must continue to do your due diligence, that your organization decides when and how ultimately you're going to return to the pitch, and you must ensure that your activities are being offered safely. So if someone does have concerns about the activities you're offering, we would encourage them to address it with you first. But there is a possibility and that they could report your organization using the government hotline, and then because the provincial government is responsible to monitor and enforce health authority guidelines. So and that's another reason to make sure that you're following the proper guidelines. We're not sure what would happen exactly if you got reported to the provincial government, but it could result in your programs being shut down for a period of time or something else. So that's another thing to be cautious of. So I flew through that pretty fast. So now we'll see if anyone has any questions here.
Feel free to put the questions in the chat as well. You don't have to raise your hand if you'd prefer to just write them in the chat. In the meantime, we sort of started this at the last member session, but I think it was really great to hear from everyone and just do a general check-in. So from the bottom of my list upwards, I'm just going to ask for you to provide a brief check-in on how things are going in your neck of the woods. So let's start off with Wendy Wagner from Meridian Soccer. How are you, Wendy?
We're good. We actually started our first camp tonight. So this is our first week that we are back on the pitch. And it went really well. So we only ran small small groups, so under 5, under 8, and under 11, since we don't have a huge draw for our older age groups. We're only running 2 camps in August for them, but we are at probably 85% capacity of what we put in place. Our mitigation risks and the way we had things set up worked really well tonight, and people and parents were really excited to get back out on the pitch. And we've reached out to our local media to get a little bit of coverage for soccer restarting in the province.
That's wonderful to hear. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Rochelle at Hollandia.
Things are going well. We opened our registration for August camps last week. Kids are enjoying being out on the pitch and having fun, even in the rain. Some of the sessions have been in the rain, and kids are just happy to be playing. So
Wonderful. What is registration like for the August? Is it similar to what you guys saw for the July programs that you're running?
It's a bit slower. I think everybody was super excited for July with not having soccer since March. And I think also right now a lot of people are in lake mode. So I think registrations will come in closer to the end of registration deadline.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for the update, Rochelle.
No problem.
Mitzi in PA. How are you, Mitzi?
Hi, I'm good.
It's good to hear from you. What's happening in Prince Albert?
We're not doing any soccer. We took a complete break from it. Dragon has gone away for the summer. He's gone to Serbia. So we are just concentrating on indoor.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for the update, Mitzi.
Okay.
Ifman from Saskatoon Adult Soccer.
Yes, hi. Yeah, so we're doing pretty good. We closed our registration for our 6-game 7v7 league yesterday at 5, and we got pretty much what we were aiming for. So we ended up with a total of 55 teams. So we're just finishing up final alignment in the next few days, and we'll be opening individual pair registration on Friday.
So you said that you were sort of targeting around 55 teams, or
yeah,
was that what you were expecting?
Yeah, I was hoping for at least 52 teams. So yeah, 55 is pretty good. We just have to tweak a little bit of the divisions. We were aiming for mostly obviously 4-team pools, but depending on what people requested, we were pretty able to accommodate everyone. But that just makes a few pools of 3 teams. But at the same time, it's good because we'll be able to have more room with that bubble. I mean, we won't give an extra. Everyone's going to keep the same roster size, but the silver lining on that is that we'll probably be able to use more referees in that bubble if we can shuffle things around for them. But yeah.
Well, that sounds positive that you guys exceeded expectations. So kudos to you for that. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Ifman.
Yeah, and then so it should. No problem.
Awesome, thank you. Hugh Morris from Saskatoon United.
Well, hold on a minute. There we are. Okay.
We can hear you.
You got me there, buddy? Okay. Well, first of all, Ian, thank you for the question that gets included. We are really excited. We've maxed out in all our particular age levels for the nights. We are hoping that that we can include more people in August. Whether because we've made it accessible to all people, we're only charging, I think, $50 a month, $150 for 3 months. We're having people coming out of the woodwork. Raheem, it's fabulous. We're having mini soccer day every Saturday, where all we play is games, and we play up to a 7v7 game. And then through the week, then we do technical development and small-sided games. So for us in SUSC, it's actually the best we've ever had responses in our zone. And we'll open up registration next week, or this week, I should imagine. Sorry, this week for the August, and we're anticipating a great turnout again. So all in all, fantastic. We're enjoying.
Wonderful to hear, Hugh. Thank you very much for the update. I am going to jump up to Amanda to give the update for SYSI.
Thanks, Raheem. Yeah, we're doing good with our summer soccer Kids in the Park program, which is a free program. And we're at 97% full. I think we have 5 spots left in one of the sessions in August. It goes until August 20th, and I think we've had about 163 registrations. Our biggest challenge with that program is getting the parents to register as a support person. And that process has been quite confusing to parents. So I'm hoping that if we need to do this type of process in the future, we can make it easier somehow, tied to the participants' registration in some way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we can look at. I mean, I think we're finding out new things as we go through all of this as well, right? So we appreciate you guys being diligent about it for sure.
And then other than the summer program, which is going really well, we're getting really positive feedback from it, and it's great to see the kids' smiling faces out. And CTV and Global have both come out to the field to take some footage, and I think they're airing both of those segments sometime this week. So it's some nice, just a second.
Hugh, can you mute yourself if you don't mind? Thank you.
Sorry.
No worries.
I hope I was muted during that little bit.
Yep. Yes, you were.
Okay, that's good. Other than the summer program, we're starting to focus on putting an indoor plan in place. So that's our primary focus for the next couple of weeks. We're meeting with the Saskatoon Soccer Center staff and adult soccer this week to try to come up with somewhat of a unified plan so that it's easier on the facility and our programs. And we're hoping to discuss some of the preliminary plan with our zone members this coming week as well, and getting some feedback from them.
Wonderful. Well, that's great to hear that that you guys are starting up the planning process. With regards to the CTV, and I think you said CBC as well. If you can share that with us when it's live, we'd like to be able to amplify some of the messaging from our organizations through our social media that are, putting together good programs and are able to help promote the sport. So please make sure to tag us in it or let us know about it so that we can also amplify through our social media channels.
Yeah, we'll certainly do that. As soon as we have the clips from CTV and Global, we'll tag you guys in those clips on Facebook.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the update. Yep. Before we move on to next meeting and close up, any questions from anyone at this moment in time? All right, well, we'll move on. Nicole, if you can bring up the next slide. Next meeting, as Lisa had mentioned in her opening remarks, the next 2 meetings are as follows: August 11th at 8 p.m. and then September 8th at 8 p.m. If there is some type of emergent situation, then obviously we will do our best to address that at the as soon as possible. Really, depending on the nature of the communication, and if we need to meet as a membership, then we'll do so sooner. But for the time being, August 11th and September 8th. And with that, I will ask Lisa to provide any closing remarks.
Thanks, Raheem. Thanks, everybody, for getting on the call and again participating in these meetings every couple of weeks. So we appreciate it, and we're looking forward to seeing some photos online of you guys back to the pitch, so you guys can share them on your social media and tag us. We'd love to see how your mini season is going. So with that, I'll say good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.
Night to you.
See you.